Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? Another day of learning awakes us all. This is John Register. Welcome to Hurdlers of Adversity. So, guess what? I'm at a radio station over here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I was the doorbell was frozen, so I couldn't get into the actual room. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get Andrew on today. It's going to be a fantastic interview. I wanted to chat and get him in here. However, and he was having trouble with his video stream, but we'll see. But this is a virtual podcast broadcast of what we're doing here, and I just really love these shows because we learn so much great information. And I'm going to be on for just a few minutes here, so thank you all for coming in. Who are you? What's going on? How you doing out there? I want to just kind of chat with you real quick. And let me see. I want to go to my comment section over here and see. Just put in the comment section where you are watching from today. Remember our last show? Our last show. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. We had Tiana Cooks on. Tiana Cooks, of course, she is the one that has type 1 diabetes, competed in the Miss Colorado pageant, and then, with her platform, goes on to run the 26.2 miles, the marathon in New York City. Oh my gosh, Tiana was just one of those amazing individuals. I see we got Andrew who's coming in here right now. Of course, I'm going to add him up to the stream real fast. I know we don't have his video there, but we're gonna put him there. So can you say something, Andrew, real quick? I just want to make sure we got your audio.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you
All
hear me?
right, awesome, perfect. So we have Andrew Kurka that's on. I want to make sure I do the propers for him before we kind of get into this show. I kind of gave the teaser. I always kind of like to tease away who our guest is that is on the show, and I'm going to do some other shares because since we don't have his video camera, I'm not sure why. For the second time because we didn't have Tiana's camera either, so I'm not sure what's going on with StreamYard with cameras. So I got to actually kind of do a little report on that. But our last show, Tiana Cooks, a woman living with type 1 diabetes, determined to live life to the fullest. She went on to win to run the New York City Marathon with 50 other individuals, and she's just pushed through for that. I'm going to try to get some Andrew's talking. We'll get some of his photos and shots up. Hopefully I have them. I didn't put them on to someplace else. All right. So remember, when you're liking the shows, please hit the button for the subscribe button for the for wherever you're listening to, and I hope everything is going well in your world. I have known our guest since he was selected for the 2010 Paralympic experience as a youth. I still think of him as a youth. And now he's one of the fastest skiers in the world and will be headed to Beijing in a few weeks for the Paralympic Games. He is fresh off coming back from international travel from somewhere in Europe, and he is fresh off the cover of Sports Illustrated for the Winter Olympic Games, the Winter Paralympic Games. So please welcome our guest today from the largest state in the United States, the great state of Alaska, 2014, 2018 Paralympian, the Alpine skier representing Team USA, the one, the only Andrew Kurka. Thanks for being on, Andrew.
Thank you, John, for having me. Wow, you really talked me up. Made me sound so exciting. Okay.
Oh, well, I'm out here at Mountain Country this morning, and we're going to have a show because we're, the Olympic Games are about to start tomorrow, February 4th. Of course, the Winter Games for Paralympics are going to start on March the 4th, and so we just want to kind of chat about some of those things and get into your story. We won't be on for very long, but I wanted to jump in because you are just one fascinating young man. So the world's about to tune into the Olympic Games, and on February 4th. So, however, and the Paralympic Games, of course, we just said on March the 4th. Help us understand the difference between the two games.
Well, so to ever put it so simply, the Olympic Games are individuals that do not have any kind of physical disability or of any manner. And the Paralympic Games, people who do have physical disabilities of some manner, whether it be like me, whether they be, paraplegic, physically disabled, or whether they have CP, which is a cognitive issue from birth, from getting lack of blood to the brain. There's a few different types, and it's not Special Olympics. Like, as you know, like we don't compete in the Special Olympics. We compete in the Paralympics, which runs 2 weeks later to the normal Olympics. And I think the big piece with the Paralympics as you know, John, is that it showcases human spirit on
Mm,
a level
mhm.
that hasn't been seen before. And I think that's why the Paralympic movement is growing, because the inspiration of the athletes behind it, everyone's always looking for that next piece to help open their eyes,
Yeah.
help open their eyes to the world, to help them realize their own truest potential. And I think the Paralympics is a huge portion of that.
When the first time I met you on you won a trip to Vancouver for the Paralympic experience, and we took a few youth to kind of watch the games, because a lot of times in Paralympic sport, athletes do not get a chance to see the highest level of what their potential might actually be. We see it in the on the kind of the ableistic side, or the Olympic side. We don't really see it on the Paralympic side as much, and that program was created so that it could give people like yourselves a chance to kind of see it at the highest level. Do you remember that Paralympic Games in Vancouver, and what do you remember about that event that might have been a trigger point for you desiring to become a Paralympic athlete?
I do. I remember it very well. I remember you giving us a little inspiring speech every morning, you saying poems that I actually knew, that I grew up with hearing in my youth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember the poem you said, "The Great Were Once As You," and a few others. And it wasn't just the small inspiring factors, but the moment
Mm,
that I was able to sit with my other peers and watch the athletes that were competing, I was able
yeah.
to look at that and say, "Hey, I can do that." And that was really like, I already knew that I wanted to be the best, but when I was able to see them, I was able to say, you know what, I can do that. I know what I need to reach, I know what I need to do. And so
Mm,
now it's time to go do that. So it really helped to grow my dream of being an athlete, of being the best in the world.
yeah.
Because, yeah, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. I'm just listening. I'm just
Oh,
agreeing with
yeah.
you.
Well, so my dream before I broke my back, before I became a Paralympic athlete, before
Mm,
I became a paraplegic, was to be an Olympic wrestler.
mhm,
When I got in the ATV accident, when I broke my back, when I became paralyzed, that was the moment where kind of everything had taken a downward turn in my life. And I wasn't sure of what the next step would be. I wasn't sure of, like you say, I wasn't sure of what my new normal was yet. When I discovered skiing, I discovered my new normal. I discovered that I could be a Paralympic athlete. I discovered that I could still pursue that dream of being the best in the world. And once I
So,
discovered that, I went to the Paralympic experience and I did everything I could to pursue the knowledge of what it would take to do that.
I find it fascinating, because a lot of times, people will often, forecast on others what they believe they can or cannot do, which is based upon what they believe they could or could not do if they were in a person's situation. Did you ever find people kind of limiting your progress, or they're not believing that what you could do, or did you really find a truly supportive community all across the board?
You know, John, it was 50-50.
Mm,
It
mm,
really, really was. So when I entered the Paralympic community, people that knew it was possible, people that had seen it, people that naturally had those inspiring tendencies, they would support and they would tell me, "Hey, go for it. We know what you can do. We know what's possible, and we can see it in you, the tenacity that you want to." And
mhm.
so they would support me. And then there's other people outside of that, kind of your everyday people that didn't quite know what was possible and didn't
Yeah.
quite know about the Paralympic movement. Especially when I was getting started, the Paralympics has grown substantially since I've been an athlete. From 2010 to 2018, it grew, and now it's still progressing from Tokyo and then now coming into Beijing. Like in NBC Olympics and everything, they're broadcasting it more and more every games, and
Yeah.
that's showing support for the Paralympic movement. And that's also that little bit of support. Toyota getting behind athletes, being the first premier huge sponsor for the Paralympics. That on its own is showing that, hey, people are believing in this cause and people are believing that we are true athletes and that we can accomplish these goals and these dreams. And it didn't always used to be like that, but now
Right.
it is. Now people believe, now people show their support. And I think on its own, those simple facts, people hearing about it, people knowing about it, helps to really make a difference.
I think that, as we, kind of, dive into this even more, the challenge that's always been with the Paralympic Games is kind of that equal footing to see what are these games actually all about. So as you think about, the pandemic, and we just saw Alana Myers Taylor, one of our, bobsledders. Uh, the situation really kind of becomes real when we're talking about the pandemic and all of the adaptability that you athletes have had to do in preparing for your games. I mean, she goes over there, she's voted as the one to represent Team USA and carry the flag into the stadium, and then she tests positive. And so she's trying to get the two negative tests going on right now, and so she has to relinquish her flag bearing responsibilities because she can't march in opening ceremony. So she's selected Team USA's flag bearer, test positive. So what sacrifices and adjustments have you had to make because of this pandemic?
Well, first, I'm really sorry to hear that for Elena. That is a huge bummer. There's a lot of sacrifices with your life, with ski racing, and then there's your personal life, and there's the
Hmm.
personal aspect. And what a lot of people don't know is, like, to be the best in the world, you have to pursue it with every moral fiber of your being. I am away from home 6 months out of the year,
Yeah.
training and competing heading into the games. I live in Alaska, but right now I'm in Colorado talking to you from a hotel room because I stay in this hotel all winter long when I'm not traveling, when I'm not going to all these different countries, because I want to be the best in the world. And once every 4 years, we get an opportunity to show our grit. We get an
Yeah.
opportunity to show our hard work. And there's I got a small story for you. It was, and this just shows how fragile what we do as athletes truly is. Because I was in France one time at a World Cup. I was in Team
Hmm.
France. I was racing a downhill, and in downhill, it's 70 plus miles an hour, and they had an uphill wind. It was
For no, for you it's 70 miles an hour. For me, it's a pedestrian 30-ish, maybe.
okay. Uh, yes. Okay. It's the fastest of all the disciplines, and I was in France, and there was a 30, 40 mile an hour uphill wind, and all of us as competitors raced. And then for the last four competitors, people that had never placed in a World Cup, people that have never done good, the wind just stopped, and these people came down into victory.
Mm.
And I mean, so I was sitting in first place, and everyone was sitting pretty even. It was just hundreds of seconds. And then these guys came down and they crushed everyone by 3 or 4 seconds because they didn't have an uphill wind slowing
Yeah.
them down by five
Oh,
miles an hour throughout the entire course. So the sacrifices we make as athletes play into not just the luck and the hard work that we put into it, but also who we are as individuals. And I think who we are as individuals really needs to shine a lot more.
mm,
And you were talking about Elena, uh, her going into these games, and who she is as a person is not changed or altered by the fact that she might not get to compete in these games because of that COVID incident. That was out of her control. That was something that she does not have control of. She is
mm,
still a dedicated athlete. She's still a dedicated Olympic athlete, and she's still going there to compete.
right.
Sometimes you get unlucky. Sometimes nature, sometimes wind, sometimes COVID stands in your way. But as athletes, you just got to keep pushing.
Yeah, I think that's a lesson for us all that that things are going to happen, and we don't. We must move forward. We can't sit and wallow in what might have been. We have to go in what is now and what is next. And she's a fantastic, not only fantastic athlete, but a fantastic human being. Even her and her husband, and so she was very gracious in giving the relinquishing that to the second runner up. And so we'll see that happen. Of course, it'll be one of the great stories. And the powerful point is the person she gave it up to actually gave her spot up as a speed skater to another person in the last Olympics. So it comes back around for that. Wanted to chat real quick with a couple of minutes that we have back here left. Is you just graced the cover of Sports Illustrated? How cool is that? Number one, and two, what do you think that says for people with disabilities, being accepted, or at least at that level, being on the cover of SAC?
Well, very, very simply put, John, like similar to what we were just talking about. It's not always about the gold medals, and it's not
Hmm.
always about what you're able to achieve, but it's also about the people that you're able to help and the eyes you're able to open. So I think for me, the largest portion of being on the cover of Sports Illustrated, for me personally, is the journey of getting there. I
Yeah.
made it there. I showed that Paralympics is worthy of that. I showed that, hey, people want to see this, but most importantly, I showed other individuals with disabilities, other kids that are just seeing that hey, they can do it too.
Hmm.
You can be on the cover of a magazine. You can go out and you can be inspiring. You can be awesome. You can go race. It doesn't matter whether you win or whether you lose. What matters is that you go out and you complete your journey, that you go out and you do your best, and that whether you win, lose, or draw, that you give it your all and that you try. And I think very simple, like kids go out and they go skiing, but they don't really know what's truly possible for them as Paralympic athletes yet. And then they see
Hmm.
that and they say, hey, I can.
I love that, and I got just a couple minutes here left for the show. Wanted to just ask you: is there any way that people can get a hold of you? Do you have like a website or something that they can follow you on your journey as you go to Beijing in the next couple of weeks here?
I sure do. Yeah. I have LinkedIn, I have Facebook, I have everything. And you can just type in my name to follow. It's just Andrew Kurka. It's pretty simple. I also have a bed and breakfast in Alaska where I take people fishing and doing outdoors adventures, especially individuals with disabilities. And
I love it. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm going
you do
fishing.
it.
I just don't want to. I don't want to see that Kodiak bear that I see at the airport in
Yeah.
Alaska. I just
Yeah.
don't want to see that one.
Yeah. You got it. Promise. But I can put you on a fish that size. That'll be fun, right?
Oh my gosh! No, I don't want that fish could probably eat me, man. So, hey, well, thank you so much for being on. I really do appreciate your time. Sorry we had some trouble, yeah, getting into the studio this morning, but I really wish you the best of success. Thanks once again, and let's stay connected because I'd love to just chat and see what your journey continues to be.
Thank you. Thanks
All
for having
right.
me.
Absolutely. All right. That's Andrew Kirk, everybody. The one and only is going to the Paralympic Games coming up in March the 4th over in Beijing. It's the parallel games to the Olympics. And that wraps up our show for the day. So remember to comment, like, and share. Then click the notification bell to alert for future shows. The Global Coffee Shop, remember that? Coaches across the world with David Singleton and myself. Our next show is going to be on February the 14th at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 1800 UAE time, United Arab Emirates time, and 1400 GMT. So our on February 15th, the February issue of Diversity Com magazine will feature my article, "The Value of Influence and the Disability Population." Okay, and I'm off right now to the Mountain Country Radio Show, which broadcasts at 107.3 FM in Colorado Springs and 97.7 FM in Pueblo. And I get to chat with Johnny Joy. And remember to be courageous, make the jumps that you know you need to make in life. And when truth outweighs fear, we commit to that courageous life. Go forth, inspire your world. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.